Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most epic mysteries, the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. These colossal structures have stood for thousands of years, and they still leave us speechless. How on earth did an ancient civilization, without modern technology, pull off such a mind-boggling feat of engineering? Let's start with the big one, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built for the pharaoh Khufu around 4,500 years ago, it's a masterpiece. It stands over 146 meters tall, that's like a 48-story building, and is made of about 2.3 million stone blocks. And these aren't just little pebbles. The average block weighs around 2.5 tons, the same as a pickup truck. Some of the granite blocks used for the king's chamber weigh up to 80 tons. These were quarried in Aswan, over 800 kilometers away. So, how did they move these behemoths? The traditional theory, which is backed by a lot of archaeological evidence, is that it was a combination of incredible human ingenuity, organization, and sheer manpower. It wasn't slave labor, as Hollywood often portrays. Instead, it was a skilled workforce of Egyptian farmers and laborers. They worked on the pyramids during the annual flooding of the Nile, when their farmlands were underwater and they couldn't work the fields. This was a national project, a form of civil service or taxation, and they were well fed, housed, and respected for their work. Archaeologists have found the remains of a massive workers' village right next to the pyramids. They've uncovered bakeries, breweries, and fish processing facilities, all pointing to an organized system for feeding tens of thousands of workers. They ate, well, lots of bread, beef, and fish. We've also found their tombs, which show they received proper medical care. Some skeletons have healed bones, indicating they had access to doctors. Slaves wouldn't have been buried with such honor near the sacred pyramids. Now for the construction itself. For quarrying the softer limestone blocks locally at Giza, workers would cut grooves into the rock, hammer in wooden wedges, and then soak the wedges with water. As the wood expanded, it would crack the stone along the desired lines. Simple, but incredibly effective. For the harder granite from Aswan, they used dolerite pounders, harder rocks, to bash out the shape they needed. Transporting the blocks is where the real genius comes in. A recent discovery of a papyrus journal, written by a manager named Merer, gives us a first-hand account. It describes how his crew transported limestone blocks from the Tora quarry to Giza. They used boats to travel along the Nile and a specially constructed system of canals that brought the water right up to the base of the pyramid plateau. For moving blocks over land, evidence suggests they used large wooden sleds. A famous tomb painting from about 1900 BC shows a colossal statue being pulled by workers on a sled. What is fascinating is that one person in the painting is pouring water onto the sand in front of the sled. Scientists tested this and found that wetting the sand just right reduces the friction dramatically, making it much easier to pull heavy loads. So, with enough people pulling ropes, and with slick, wet sand, moving a 2.5-ton block becomes totally feasible. Getting the blocks up the pyramid is another big debate. The most widely accepted theory is the use of ramps. But what kind of ramp? A single, long, straight ramp would have to be enormous, almost as big as the pyramid itself, and would need to be extended and raised for each new layer. So, other theories have emerged. One popular idea is a spiral ramp that corkscrewed around the outside of the pyramid as it was built. This would require less material but would make it very difficult to maneuver the large blocks around the corners. Another compelling idea is an internal ramp system. French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin proposed that the Egyptians built an external ramp for the lower third of the pyramid and then constructed an internal spiral ramp to haul blocks to the top. This would explain why no evidence of a massive external ramp has ever been found. It's a clever theory, and some thermal scans of the Great Pyramid have shown spiral-shaped anomalies inside, which could support this idea. Let's also talk about the incredible precision. The base of the Great Pyramid is almost a perfect square, with the sides aligned almost perfectly to the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. The difference in length between the sides is just a few centimeters. How did they achieve this? They likely used astronomical methods. By tracking the stars, they could determine true north with remarkable accuracy. They probably used simple tools like plumb bobs, square levels, and sighting rods to keep the angles and levels precise as they built upwards. It was a slow, painstaking process, but it was all based on principles of geometry and astronomy that they understood well. So, if we have all these logical, evidence-based explanations, why is there this popular idea that aliens or a lost, advanced civilization must have been involved? This brings us to the ancient astronaut theory. The main argument here is that the sheer scale, precision, and complexity of the pyramids are just too advanced for the known capabilities of ancient Egyptians. Proponents of this theory point to the immense weight of the blocks, the perfect alignment, and the speed at which the pyramids were supposedly built. They ask, how could a Bronze Age society, with only copper tools and ropes, achieve something we might struggle to replicate even today? This argument from incredulity is powerful. When we see something so magnificent, it's hard to believe it was done with simple tools. It's easier for some to imagine a more technologically advanced force at play. The theory often suggests that aliens visited Earth, were seen as gods, and shared their advanced technology like levitation beams or powerful cutting tools to help build these structures. However, there's a big problem with this line of thinking: a complete lack of evidence. There are no alien tools, no spaceship landing pads, and no mentions of extraterrestrial help in the thousands of pages of hieroglyphs the Egyptians left behind. What we do have is evidence of the human builders, their tools, their villages, their diaries, their tombs. The ancient astronaut theory, while fun to think about, fundamentally underestimates ancient people. It assumes that if they didn't have our technology, they must have been primitive and incapable. But that's just not true. The Egyptians were brilliant engineers, project managers, and astronomers. They had something we often forget: time and an immense, unified labor force dedicated to a single, sacred goal. The construction of a pyramid wasn't a rush job. It took decades of sustained effort. What the pyramids truly represent is not the work of aliens, but the peak of human potential. They show what we can achieve when we work together with focus, ingenuity, and a shared purpose. The mystery isn't if humans built them, but marveling at how they did it with what they had. They moved mountains, not with any gravity, but with water, wood, rope, and the incredible power of human muscle and intellect. So, the next time you look at a picture of the pyramids, don't see the work of aliens. See a testament to the sweat, brilliance, and spirit of the ancient Egyptian people. It's a story that's far more impressive and inspiring. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think is the most incredible part of how the pyramids were built? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into ancient engineering, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.